Hello, Srinivas.
Hello, hi Artha, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
You can start the recording.
Yeah, started. Yeah, started the recording. Did you get it?
I'm just sharing the screen.
Oh, okay, okay.
You're able to see my screen?
Yeah.
These are the topics which I discussed during the last class.
Mm.
So do you have doubt on any
Yeah.
of the topic?
No.
Clear? So
Yeah.
just discussed about the for each loop as well, right?
Yeah.
So these are the some of the things I listed, but we could not discuss that day.
Yeah.
So varargs is nothing but variable arguments. Means you are referring here that the arguments are variable. Means arguments are like it can be like dynamic.
Okay.
Okay, where allows the method to accept a zero or multiple arguments. Means before the where arguments, either we have to use a overloaded method to right. So
Mm.
once the where method is invented, so we do not need to worry about the method overloading much. For example, let's take a scenario. I wanted to write a summing of the numbers program, so which should take work for multiple possibilities. So initially, what you might have done, you have created for some of the numbers two parameters, right? So one is there is no meaningless. You might have started with two.
Mm.
Your function is going to work for two parameters. Then stood for three possibilities. Then you might have created one more overloaded function called a int abc. So that works for three parameters, right? Like
Mm.
you might have coded for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, like that. When I am requesting for 100 combinations, so you have coded 100 different overloaded functions, which is fine. Like it's working fine, right?
Mm.
So what happens if one at one? Once again, you have to write one more function to fulfill the one at one function, right?
Mm.
So here there is a boundary that it cannot be like n number of options, right? So based on the user's requirement, you are providing that many combinations. If in future if I'm asking for one or two, if I'm asking that I would like to pass one or two parameters, then you might be introducing one more loaded function to your Java program, right? Like
Mm.
you are providing. So this is. Do you think this is the like the best approach? Obviously, if you do not have any other option, so if you need to go for one or two combination, definitely you have to go for the overloaded methods. But with
Mm.
with the option of like variable arguments, you do
Mm.
not whether you require for 100 combination, 1000 combinations, or no matter whatever it is. Simply, you are going to write only one function.
Okay, we can reduce the number of complexity of the program, I think.
We
No
are
need to write so
reducing
many methods.
only one function which answers for n number of combinations.
Mm.
Whether you go for zero arguments, the same function. One argument, same function. Two arguments, same function. So
Mm.
here it addresses everything, right? Advantage
Yeah.
is we do not have to provide overload methods. So obviously you're writing a here less code, right?
Mm.
So assume that function is taking only one line of a code. So when I'm referring 100 combination means 100 lines I have to write, right?
Yeah.
So like if it is single function means obviously lines is very drastically it's going to reduce to minimum, right?
Mm.
That's why the variable arguments are. Show you. That's all. We are done writing the function.
Mm.
I'll show you. So sum, I'm not passing anything. Sum, if I pass one value. Sum, if I pass one. Observe that sum is of my function name, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at it here, I just created only one function. So whose type is static. Why I prepare static? I can directly call without any creating instance, right? That's what I given the static. And the void is nothing, but I'm not writing anything. Sum is my method name, so which is taking integer values. Okay, parameter name is values. So inside that, what I'm doing, I'm just to show you that for multiple invocations, it is calling the same function. Just to show you that, I just made a message. You have passed it so and so value, so and so number of values. Right? So
Yeah.
I'm using sum without parameters, one parameter, two parameter, like three parameters. So I'm going to pass n number of calls. For all those things, it's going to call the same method. You can observe. I'm running. So you have passed 0, 1, 3, 4, right?
Oh, okay, okay.
So here, so what makes the difference here? Here,
So
three.
we're using only one method and we're passing number of arguments to that same method, right?
Yes.
Mm.
So all because happening with those three dots. See here, those three dots are answering. So those three dots are called varargs.
Okay.
I'm not giving three dots. This is called a single variable. Then this works only for this method. See that error?
Yeah.
It was not given for error for this one. For other things, it has given error, right? Because
Okay.
it accepts a single variable. If I give three dots, that means that you are passing an array. That's the thing. So, as
Yeah.
number of values you pass, simply it treats it as a value. So dynamically it builds a array whose name this one. That's where I'm able to call the length parameter because it's an array dynamically, right?
Yeah.
If it was not an array, so even though you get an error here, because you cannot get the length property on this variable, right?
Yeah.
Understood? So this gives answer for everything, whether you deal with 1000 values or 2000 values or 100 values, whatever. No matter, like I'm going to write the method the same way. Only thing I just add three dots in front of my variable name. So you can invoke any number of concation, any number of parameters. Still, it's going to land up with the same method.
Okay.
So if somebody asks you to write 1000 combinations, so you're not going to write 1000 methods now. You're going to write only one method.
One method.
Put this combination. That's all.
Understood.
Let him use whatever, like the number of combinations is going to answers for everyone. Got it?
Okay. Understood. Got it.
Next, static import. You might have heard import, right? What is the static import then? Static import is also, so all these things whatever I'm discussing here, all those are like new features in various versions like Java 5, Java 6, Java. So I'm just covering all at once.
Okay.
Static import is a feature from Java 5.
Separate topics. This does not belongs to a particular one, right?
These are, in fact, like when we were learning Java, all these were not available.
Okay.
So these are separate topics altogether.
Yeah. Understood.
Okay. I'm just clubbing at one.
Understood.
So this is so feature from Java 5. So basically, when we say static import means we are going to import static member of a class directly. So to access any kind of a static member of a class directly, you can use the static import, and there is no need to qualify it with the class name. When you import it, obviously you do not need to prefix with the class name, right? Generally, when I import any class, advantage here is I do not need to mention the package name, right? Whenever I access, the same way when you import it, so anything which is related to static fields, you do not need to prefix the class name because those are already imported. Advantage here is less coding is required if you have access to any static member of a class very often.
Okay,
And
let's go.
so let's say I have a field in my class. So if I need to refer 10 times, usually I have to refer the class name dot that field name, right? If I import the class directly, I do not need to prefix my class name directly. I can use the field name. But this is creating less code, right? The disadvantage is if you start using it too many times, so you might be in a confusion state that whether like the program makes you in a confusion state about unreadability and unmaintainability. That I'll show you an example. Okay. So static input has advantage up to certain extent. If you start using that too many times, it makes the developer to be in a confusion state that whether you are referring to static input or with the regular one. Okay. So it's very less popular. So on need basis we can go for it, but
Okay.
static code demo. State
Static.
import static Java. So what I'm doing here, all the static fields which are there in my system are importing the static keyword. So that means whatever is there in this one, in this class, I'm importing in a static keyword. So everything will be available for me. Now, so what I'm doing here, generally system.out.println is to print something, right?
I
Now,
mean, if static belongs to the package, I mean, no, not that package. You wrote just import static java.lang.system.
means I'm
Means
importing this class fields.
java dot that class.
Yes, this class, usually if I'm not having like this, what happens? I'm importing a class in my program, right?
Oh yeah.
The same, if I add a static, so I'm importing a static field which are there inside this class.
Static fields inside that class. Okay.
Okay,
Mm.
so means you are importing a class with a static nature.
Okay. Okay.
So this is how you usually print something on your screen, right?
Mm.
Because now I have imported a system class.
Mm.
Simply I can write something like this.
How are you?
So what I am missing here, I do not need to write system in front of it. Right? If you observe, usually system.out.println needs to print something, right?
Yeah, it would. Yeah, system.out.println. It would print hello, but the
So
second statement
second
you
line,
want.
I'm not using system. Directly
Mm.
I'm writing out.println something.
Okay.
Out.println,
Mm.
because you have imported system, it internally treats as system.out.println. Just use it.
Okay. Okay.
Suppose if I'm not importing this class,
Mm.
then
Ah,
it doesn't know that what is out.
okay.
Got it?
Mm.
So when you import a class as it's a static way, all the fields and everything which are there in that particular class, you can directly start using it without referring that. Here, out.println is a method which is part of the system class, but without referring to that one, nobody cannot understand, right?
Yes.
The
Yes.
class, so everybody can understand that even though if you're not referring to it, it is internally having a reference to system class.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
This
So we
is
are importing all the methods in the system class.
which are static.
All the static methods, which are static. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
So, but advantage here is I do not need to write this code, right?
Oh.
In my class, everywhere I can go for this kind of thing.
Mm.
This is the advantage perspective. Now, let's say, You are dealing with a big class. Inside that, you might be having a lot of functions.
Mm.
So assume that I'm not showing this line to you. So if you look at this line, what does that mean? How does show something? What does this statement means?
It prints hello.
Where
Okay, you didn't call it in the main method, right?
okay, I
Why?
call it in a main method. So
So it's showing error.
so I have not created instance, right? This is not a static method.
Oh yeah, this is not a static method,
The
right?
main
Yeah.
intention is like not the invocation here. So we are not actually deviating.
Okay.
If you want to really declare access it, what you have to do, you have to create instance for your class and then you can access it. That's not an issue. Otherwise, mark this as a static and that's going to issue. Main focus that we are trying to see here is out.println. Here also out.println. Here out.println refers to system.out.println, right?
Yeah.
But here out.println refers to what is out here? Out is a variable name, which is of the print writer. That means
Print writer.
here
Okay.
out.println refers to that you are printing something on a file.
Okay.
So assume that
So
you are
here
doing
out refers to the print writer class. Is it a class?
yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
okay. Assume that you are dealing with thousands of lines of a program.
Mm.
If I'm not showing this line to you, maybe this line might be somewhere in the top, somewhere in the corner. So being a developer, we usually in a confusion state that whether out.println is printing something on the console or something
Mm.
in the file, right?
Mm.
Do you think there is a conflict here?
Need to see. Don't know.
No. So there is a confusion here, right? When I ask out.println what is doing here, so whether here out is a file or out is system.out, there is a
Yeah,
confusion.
here out is file. I
Because I
mean,
just showed you these two lines are side by side, you are saying that out is file. If you
okay.
tell
If
the
it,
thousand lines of a piece of a code,
okay.
this might be at somewhere in the beginning of the line, and you might
Understood.
end of lines in the somewhere the thousandth place.
So
Right?
you want to say how can we recognize that the out belongs to which class?
There will be confusion, right, for the developer when he
Yeah.
looks at this statement. He
Mm.
doesn't clearly know that whether this out.println is printing on the output of the file or this out.println is equivalent to system.out.println, right?
Yeah. It would get confused. We would get.
So that's why like people try to avoid. This you can give some other name, but the developer by chance if some developer is giving the same name as out, and by chance if you are using static import in that particular class, obviously you go for out. So there will
Mm.
be confusion. There's a contradictory here, right?
Mm.
So that's why people try to avoid this one.
Mm.
There, why we need
Mm.
to avoid?
Okay.
Seems to be you're still not convinced, confused.
Uh,
No, thing is like
no, I understood, but how we are going to overcome the problem? I mean,
overcome, as I told you, is a disadvantage, right? Try not
oh,
to use this one.
okay. It's a disadvantage.
It's like advantage, like if you have the minimal usage, if you're having too much usage, try to avoid this part.
Okay. The advantage is that okay, and the disadvantage part. Okay, no need to overcome that problem. Okay, got it.
Basically, do not make the things complex, right? If you do this and write it, your program is going to work. The over the period when you're dealing with thousands of lines of code, it will
Yeah.
confuse that whether you are when I say out.println in somewhere in the 1000th line, because the developer today, in future maybe someone else is coming and working on the same file, and for him it
Yeah.
will be blank, right? Functionality
Yes.
is going to work. This is nothing but it's going to print something on the file, and this is nothing but printing on the console. But for the initial impression is like it's a messy, right? What this guy is doing like out.println, right?
Yeah. Yes. So
So
we do
that
have advantage and disadvantages with
yes,
import static.
it depends on the manual usage.
Mm, mm.
Just we'll try to avoid that just for like as part of learning feature and just to answer for interview perspective, we learn this in
Okay.
very less chances to use.
Okay.
Correct.
Understood. Got it.
Auto boxing and unboxing. Auto boxing and unboxing. We were already, yeah, I think we did some examples on part of it as well. So
Okay.
when you say auto boxing and unboxing, means one is automatic and auto boxing and unboxing are the
Unboxing.
two terms. So
Okay.
basically, automatic conversion of your primitive data type to equivalent wrapper classes is known as a boxing.
Okay. Already did we discuss this topic? I didn't remember that.
Heading wise, we haven't discussed, but the examples was we did already.
Okay. Okay. I was
So,
thinking
no,
that I missed.
no, heading and topic discussions we haven't done, but
Okay.
examples we did. So if you look at recollect it,
Okay.
automatic conversion of your primitive data types into equal wrapper class is known as boxing.
Yeah. In wrapper
Wrapper
classes,
class
we.
is different.
Mm,
When
mm,
so what we are trying to say here,
mm,
a primitive variable,
mm.
and if you assign directly a wrapper variable, so at the time of learning wrapper classes, we have used some methods, right? Int value, float value, double
Yeah.
value
Yeah.
to convert,
Yeah. Remembered. Remembered.
right? So
Mm.
without that also, directly if you assign a primitive variable to a wrapper variable, directly it converts even without doing invoking a method. Directly it converts automatically. Developer do
Mm.
not need to invoke those methods. That's where it is called as automatic conversion. So this automatic conversion is called the boxing.
Okay.
Okay? Let me repeat
Okay.
it again. Automatic conversion of primitive data type into an equivalent wrapper class is known as boxing.
Okay.
Means, and the
Mm.
opposite is called the unboxing. Means
Mm.
what's operation?
Mm.
So this is also a new feature from Java. Now got it, the definition.
Yeah.
Advantage of boxing and unboxing is that no need of conversion between your primitive data types and wrapper classes manually.
Okay.
To write a less code. So when it's automatically doing, why to do it yourself manually, right? It's happening everything. So we do not need to put additional effort for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So converting the data types, yeah, objects into data types, we use wrapper classes, right?
Yes,
Um,
that's where we wrapper classes and primitive data types. Those are two different things.
yeah,
Primitive
two
data
different things.
types to represent primitive data types in the form of objects. That's where like we use the wrapper classes.
Yeah.
You have one wrapper variable, integer variable, and one primitive integer variable. If you want to
Mm.
communicate both the things together, so we used to use methods. For example,
Mm.
int value, float value, right?
Yeah, I do
So
remember that. Yeah.
remember, right?
Mm.
Even without using that methods also, we can directly use both the variables together. Though those are two different types, because of the boxing feature, it takes care of it automatically.
Okay, no need to specify that method. Okay.
Exactly.
Understood.
Okay. Okay, equal to 10. Integer b equal to new integer of 20. Right? This is
Mm.
primitive variable, this is integer variable.
Integer.
Suppose if I want to store this value in this variable, how we used to do, is to pass a variable, then it will convert into val, right?
Yeah.
Suppose if I want to store this b value into a, how I used to do, equal to b dot into value, right?
Mm.
So then only I will be getting the value because B is an object, C is a regular type, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
This is called the regular way that we have learned earlier. Now
Mm.
this is a primitive type, this is a primitive type, and this is an object.
Object. Yeah.
I can do simply equal to A. A is a primitive
A
data type, C is an object. So
object. Yeah.
this is called boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
these are simple data types. So usually you should do new integer of A, right? So
Yeah.
it's also called boxing. This will pass A. So this is the regular way. This is the new way, which was introduced in later stage.
Okay. In the second step, we are creating the object B, right? Integer B is equal to new integer of method.
Yes. Instead of creating an object directly for
Mm.
integer, if you pass a primitive variable, it
Mm.
automatically converts as an object and stores into the object variable.
Okay. Okay.
This is an object feature. And the
Mm.
unboxing means just a reversing of it. Like when I say reversing of it, simply fetching the value.
Mm.
So if you say int d,
Mm.
that lets b.
Okay.
So d is a primitive derivative. What is b? It's an object, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Mm.
earlier I used to do int value, right? Now I do not
Mm.
have to go for int value. Directly I'll get the value from b into variable. So here automatically happening here, right?
Yeah.
Are we converting this to manually to variable? No, right? If you print
No.
everything, you should be able to see A, B, C, D.
Mm.
When you run this, you should be able to see all the values,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So this is the regular way we learn. So this part is called the boxing. So in the same way, you can assign the same primitive variable to directly object. So that means it's an object, this is a regular primitive variable. Both I'm able to manage. How? It's automatically happening because of the boxing feature.
Okay. Mm. Do the boxing feature and unboxing means introduce. Okay.
Means you are communicating between an object and the primitive type. That's the main point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Without conversion and without
Mm.
reverse conversion.
Okay.
Okay.
Understood.
Here we took
Mm.
an example of int. Same thing
Mm.
applicable for any data type.
Okay. Understood.
Alright?
Mm.
Enum.
Mm.
Enum is nothing but an enumerated kind of a representation. You might have heard this word. It's a data type that contains a fixed set of a constants.
It's the data type.
It, enum is in Java is a data type that contains
Mm.
a fixed set of a constants.
Okay.
It's kind
Constants.
of like a custom data type. Enum is a keyword to create that custom data type.
Mm.
We use for kind of like comparison for the constants. Let's say
Mm.
you'd like to represent a weekdays or month days or the directions or anything in your programming.
Mm.
Okay, instead
Mm.
of coding them in a string way, you can mark them as a constant. This
Mm.
points to remember for the enum is enum improves the type safety. It can be usually used in switch cases. It can be traversed. Enum can have fields, constructors, and methods.
Mm.
Enum may implement many interfaces, but it cannot extend any other class because it internally extends enum class. Okay,
Mm. Mm.
enum is kind of like custom class for representation, for example.
Mm.
Enum is a keyword. So my seasons is a variable name I'm just using. So you can have any kind of a variables here. So whatever here you observe, whatever the string you directly type in, it is one kind of a custom constant in your with enum. So colors got changed, right? You know,
Oh yeah.
summer, spring, and fall. You know that those are very seasonal. But does the computer know? No, right?
No.
So ABCD. The same way I typed as a my season. ABCD is obviously there is no meaningless, right? So
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
marked as my season name is ABCD. So
Okay.
like that you can have any number of constants can be mapped in your enum. So your enum is a kind of a custom data type. So data type name is here my seasons. So my seasons can accept this many number of values anywhere.
Okay.
Got it? Suppose in
Yeah.
future I wanted to declare a variable. Simply say my season. So what this m can contain? M can contain any of these 5 values only.
Okay.
Got it?
Okay.
M is equal to my. I'll just inherit it
Yeah.
out only those 5. Got it? So here we are bounding the values here within your enum. Suppose if there are a set of constants. Suppose you're in your program you are dealing with the weekdays only. So what you will do, Sunday to Saturday, you might have entered values like this. So within your program, you are going to compare the weekdays accordingly with that constants.
Okay.
Suppose you want to read all the constants from the above program. So from here, all the values got displayed, right? So what are the values I just configured in my enumeration enum? So everything got displayed here is using a for loop.
For my seasons, MS.
So
My seasons.
this is a for each loop. For each loop.
Yeah. Okay. It's a
For each.
variable, right? MS.
For each loop, my seasons is a variable name ms, and I'm fetching all the values from my season dot values. When I say values, it's going to give us all the values from here. So this loop is going to repeat it. So what is that? I'm just printing ms for all the values. So
Understood.
here, this my season is a custom data type, which is of type enum, which can accept only these values. Here,
Okay.
right? Whenever I say my season dot something, I'm able to see only those values, right?
Oh, yeah. But actually, when we write in methods, when we are declaring the methods, when we write the data type, it means if we do have any written type only, we use the data type, right? I mean, public enum my season. Enum is a data type.
Yes, enum is a data type. My
So
season,
when
which
we
data type.
use only if we do have a written value, then only we use the data types in the method specification, right?
But this is here you are defining a custom data type here.
Okay, okay.
So this is not a function. You might be comparing with the function, right?
Yeah, I thought that you didn't write
You are
any write.
comparing something like this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If that be the case, you might have function brackets, and you'll be having something, and you'll be having something like this, right?
Yeah, mainly we do have
This
bracket
function
structure.
name and the brackets, and inside that logic, you do something. But this is not that. This is a custom data type. You are declaring whose data type name is my season.
Okay, the data type itself, the declaration itself is like that. Okay.
Just compare with the class, suppose. Class name, right?
Hmm.
It's having a lot of things the same way. Enum name, it's having something.
Hmm.
Assume that you are having something like this, right? Class, my class. So we are going to have a lot of things, right? So wherever I want to use this class, I'll just say my class dot something, right? In the same way, enum is also displayed in the same way as that of the class. Only thing I just added a public to make it global visibility.
Okay, okay. Understood.
Clear now?
So it is a class.
Sorry?
It is a class kind of thing.
It's a kind of like not exactly.
Okay, okay,
Just to
okay.
show you that I just created one more class here.
Understood.
Covariant.
Mm.
Covariant is also one of the new feature which is available for us to use. So covariant basically talks about the return type.
Covariant, okay.
Covariant return type specifies that the return type may vary in the same direction as it of the subclass. So
Mm.
here we are going to talk about the overriding. Do you remember when we are overriding something in the base class and
Mm.
something in the derived class, right? Why we go for overriding to change the logic.
Yeah, yeah.
So in the base class, if it is returning something in the
We are
derived class,
changing the functionality in the base class. Uh,
in the derived class, in
in
the,
the derived class, yes. Mm.
we have discussed about the functionality perspective. So in the
Okay.
base class, we are discussing about the functionality perspective, right? We are changing, that's where the overriding comes into picture, right?
Mm-mm.
So now we'll focus on the return type. So because the return types were never changed, never tried during that time. Let's say in the base class, void show. The derived class void show can override something. But
Mm.
this void, I would like to change to something. So when you are dealing with only overriding, it's not possible to change.
Mm.
If you remember the definition, everything should be the same, right?
Mm.
So as per the function overriding signature method, like the statement that we discussed, so
Mm.
everything should be the same function name, function type, and everything. Then only it comes into overriding. Otherwise, it will treat it as a separate new function, right?
Mm.
So covariant return type is a type which specifies that return type may vary in the same direction as that of the subclass. Means it was not possible to override any method by changing the return type before the Java 5.
Okay, okay.
So
Mm.
until the Java 5, you are not able to change the return type when there is something in the base class. In case if you wish to change to something in the derived class, it was not possible. But
Yeah.
now since Java 5, it is possible to override a method by changing the return type if the subclass overrides any method whose return type is non-primitive, but it can change its return type to a subclass type. Got it?
Return type.
So in simple words, so now we have an option to change the return type, but whereas in the older versions of the Java, we do not have an option to change the return type.
Mm.
But
Okay.
any confusion?
No, no, no. I think if we have an example, it would be clear.
Yes. So there is a get method whose return type is current class only, right?
Okay.
Now I'm creating one more class. So when I'm overriding, obviously, I can override the method, right? This is
Mm.
what we usually do,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
But now I'm going to change it to In this class, I also had so in your base class there is a method named get, which is returning this. So when I say this, the current class, right? That's where A. In your derived class, I'm having the same method name. I'm also returning a this. But in this case, when I say this, its return type is this class, right?
Yeah.
So here I'm changing the return type A and covariant. So there is a new one more method added in my class. So I'm just showing you. So covariant demo means this one, right?
Yeah.
We are creating instance for the current class. So on top of that, we are calling a get method. When I say get, what I'm going to get, is it going to give the class A or is it going to give the class this one?
Covariant demo it's going to
Covariant
give.
demo. So when it's giving covariant demo, I can call this method, right? Or say hello. So inside this class, when you call a get method, it's giving you current object. In the current object, you are having say hello method. Suppose if I'm not giving this one, so what is the value we are going to get? Then this is the regular way, right? In that case,
actually we do this the regular way of method override.
exactly. So the regular way, exactly. So when you say like this, when you call a get method, it's going to give you the A. Inside class here, do we have a say hello method? No, right?
No, I don't have that. Yeah.
That's where like we are getting error here.
Okay.
So when you go for a covariant type, the return type, if you change, based on that, this method is just to show you that which class it's calling.
Okay.
Just to demonstrate you that. So if it's not able to find say hello method, that means it is calling this object. Calling this object, say hello method is invoked. So main intention that you need to focus here is we are changing the return types, which were not called in the older versions of Java.
Oh, we are changing the
Change it, right? We have seen that example as well.
Yeah. Understood.
Clear?
Clear.
Annotations. Annotations, I think this word we might have used somewhere.
Yeah, we use these annotations.
What annotation we used?
Exactly. I don't remember, but we used annotations. What annotations?
So basically, annotation is kind of like a tag that represents the metadata. So which can be attached with a class, interface, method, or any field. Indicates that some additional information which can be used by the compiler and the JVM. Annotations in Java are used to provide additional information, which is an alternate option to HTML, sorry XML. When you are working with XML and the advanced programming, you need to write something in your XML files. To avoid those XML files, we can directly use annotations in your Java program. Okay. So when you use that annotation, compiler understands that. So you are referring to some kind of a functionality. We have many annotations which are available in Java. Okay. Here in this example, I'll give you one example with the annotation, one of the annotation. But in core Java, we're using many annotations. Okay. To give an example with the override. Yeah, right. You know, right? Function overriding we just seen, right? Function overriding we have seen, right? Just now, overriding.
Yeah. We saw that.
What is the meaning of overriding? Should have something in the base class, then only you can override, right?
Yes.
If you are not having anything in the base class, what happens?
No need to override, right? We can create by ourselves.
There is a show method in the base class. In the direct class, there is a show method, means you are overriding, right?
Yeah. If we
So
don't have that,
show method, and if you are coding show method in the direct class, what does that mean? You are creating new
yeah.
show method in your direct class, that's all, right? That doesn't
Mm.
mean overriding, you're just adding your new functionality to it.
New method, yeah. Mm.
Okay. Assuming that the base class is created by someone and derived class you are creating. Okay.
Okay. Mm.
So at the time of communicating it to you, there was a show method, and you are asked to override that show method. You have overwritten, right? You did
Mm.
your job, and in future and later point of time in that base class, that show method was removed for some reason.
Okay.
So did anyone? But no one is informed to you.
Mm.
You are under impression that you are overriding that method.
Okay.
Does it come under overriding because someone has modified the logic in the base class?
Okay. Okay. So it does not consider overriding. Actually, it is modified, right?
It is modified, but it was not informed to you.
Oh yeah.
Each
So we
developer
don't.
responsibility to inform you, but nobody is
Mm.
informed to you. So
Mm.
obviously you do not know because you are not going to deal with only one class. You will be writing thousands of thousand class every day.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't know like what happens in the after 6 months, right?
Mm.
Nobody was informed to you. So you are
Mm.
still under impression that you are overriding, but you have lost overriding concept when that K was modified last time, right?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So there
Yeah.
should be some mechanism that someone has to inform you, right? Then only
Yeah.
either you can do some alternative thing for it, right?
Mm. Yes.
So with this annotation, we can see that. So it is a method in this class, and you are already in your derived class, right?
Mm.
Does this come under overriding?
Yeah. Right now it comes under overriding.
Yes, exactly. It comes under overriding. So
Mm.
when you create an animal equal to null, a dot it, it's going to give you the animal is eating, right?
Yes.
A dot it, it's going to give you the dog is
Dog
eating,
is eating.
right?
Mm.
This was not available. So when I run this one, dog is eating. So yeah, overriding the method it was working, but now that your common has removed in the base class.
Mm.
So you're writing, you're
Just
creating
more.
something, you're building that you're overriding, but actually
Mm.
the method for this class, right?
Yeah.
Nobody is informed and nobody nothing was
Mm.
informed to us, right?
Mm.
This can be achieved now. So now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to say that I just added this one. The rest of the program is same, no change.
Mm.
When I run this one, my dog is sitting.
Mm.
So someone is going to comment your code. So immediately in your class, you got an error here. See that? The
Mm.
method eat of type dog must be override or implement supertype. What you
Okay.
are saying here, this annotation, I am saying that with this annotation that I am overriding. As long
Okay.
as this base method was there, that's fine.
Mm.
If this
Mm.
base method was not there in your
Mm.
class when it gets compiled, you are
Mm.
saying that, hey compiler, I'm overriding. Then compiler says that I don't think so, you are not overriding because I don't see any base class method with this name,
Okay.
right?
With the annotations, we can know that. Okay.
So if
Mm.
you read this message once again, the eat of a dog must override or implement a super type. When there is no super type, there is no point of overriding at all. It's
Yeah, yeah.
that you are not overriding at all. So in
Mm.
the previous case, it was calm. There was no information to
Mm.
you. You
Mm.
are feeling that you are overriding, but ideally you are not overriding. But here,
Mm.
there is no
Mm.
chance of like violation. Here, it is
Mm.
stopping at the time of as and when that guy stopped coding.
Mm.
Immediately, it is informed to you that you are not overriding here.
Understood.
Right? That's
So by default, we need to practice. I mean, when we are overriding the methods, so by default we need to specify the annotations. I mean,
exactly. So when you are working with the Eclipse editor, automatically this annotation comes into picture. So when you are implementing a base class method, automatically this comes. But if you are following this kind of a signature of base class and derivative class, so always go for this kind of a thing to avoid this the errors
so
at that time.
in real time, do we write this? I
Yes,
mean,
yes, we do right.
just now you said that Eclipse would take care of that. That's why.
Eclipse will add something automatic. Let's say
Okay, okay.
if you have a base interface, then you have already seen something, right, in the base class.
Mm. So it's shown there. Okay. Methods also we need to add. Mm.
What happened here? Did I write override here? No, right?
No, yeah, by
So
default.
Eclipse itself automatically has a feature. Whenever you are implementing the base class things, automatically override comes into picture.
So okay, by default okay.
Here, what I did,
But first when you wrote the example, it did not did that, right?
not for everyone. So these are some, whenever it requires a mandatory thing, there it gives you the annotations automatically. There are certain
Oh,
cases which you can add. So in the previous example, I just added annotations as per the requirement, right? Now
okay.
there is a base class, which is an
Mm.
abstract class. So when you are
Mm.
using this abstract class, it's mandatory to provide implementation here, right?
Yeah, we
So
need to provide,
if
yes.
you're not providing it, we know what happens. So here,
Mm.
say add an implementation method. When you click on this one,
Unimplemented.
it
Mm.
gives all the methods with the overriding concept automatically.
Mm.
Got it?
Okay.
So you can add wherever it's applicable, and at the same time, Eclipse itself also gives you wherever it can be feasible.
Okay.
Got it?
Mm. Understood.
So any doubts on these topics like whatever we learned today?
Mm, yeah, I'm clear about
Clear?
the topics. Yeah.
Okay, okay, Hartha. I think
Mm.
we are good for today.
Mm.
We'll continue tomorrow with the next topics.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Good night. Mm.